Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and I woke up this morning and the craziest thing happened to me. I just started receiving a bunch of messages and I wrote them all down as fast as I could. I wasn't sure if they were for me or if they were for you guys as well, and so I'm just going to make this video. It does have a lot to do with the video I made yesterday. It's almost like follow-up energy after my first download. And the way that I describe energy work in my life anyway is that I'm just like a conduit that energy just comes into. I'm kind of like, I don't know, I don't like calling myself a channeler. Like, I'm not into that label. I just look at it like I'm just a receiver, and then I try to relay the information as best as I can. I'm sure that it's not entirely accurate because, of course, you know, you're dealing with my limited mental capacity as far as this type of energy work. Like, I'm a newbie, and so like I don't know how good I'm going to be at all of this. So when I do these, I want you guys to understand that a lot of times I just don't even know what I'm saying because it's just coming in and it's going out of me. Like, and until I listen to the videos, do I even know what I've even said? Super weird. And hold on a sec, because like the paper that I wrote everything on it is getting really wet. It is pouring here, actually. And I'm trying to save my paper because, oh, I apologize, because that has all of the messages that I was receiving at the time. Sorry, I didn't want my finger to be in that shot again. So I want to talk about the last degree of the zodiac, and sorry, my paper's falling again because it's starting to get really wet, and I wish I could find a place where it's not getting so wet. Maybe here, because I don't feel like I'm getting as wet here. Okay, sorry. The last degree of the zodiac, 29th degree of Pisces. Sure that you've heard other astrologers talk about that final degree. 12th house work is super difficult, and it is even more difficult in combination with Jupiter being in Scorpio, because basically what you're dealing with is your deepest fears. And I've thought a lot about this when I was trying to understand what the general message was, and I really think it's just to help you identify the malefic energy in your life. So fear, doubt, lack of self-confidence, and just the realization, just your current reality versus where you alter your reality, you know, that need to create an illusion to cope with your reality. You are facing all of those, or at least some of you are, if you're doing the energy work at the level that's being asked of you. I feel like there is a mental resistance to this reality check. And the reason why is because it's almost like there's a level of too much reality. So like it's very difficult. Okay, so I woke up with a panic attack. And for those of you who don't know what panic attacks are, it's just this really intense out-of-body experience where you just feel a sense of flight response to your life and this need to escape. But there's nothing happening in your world. Like, there's nothing making you have that flight response. You just feel like you need to run away, you need to hide, and you need to, there's impending danger, doom. It's just the most bizarre feeling. And mind you, I have been having nightmares about my past and every failure that has ever occurred in it. All the people that played a part in those, in that part of my movie. And so like, I have been dreading going to sleep because I don't like the fact that my conscious world doesn't want to address some of my unconscious fears. And so like I visit those fears in my dreams. And that's how I become conscious of that there is fear in my life. And that's what's controlling my response and reactions to things right now. So I have this like amazing opportunity in my life. I have always wanted to work for a specific company doing a specific thing. And it actually motivated me to go to school and get my certification in that particular part of my life. And I can remember sitting there like when I was in my early 20s thinking they had this incredible role of like helping others and, you know, taking sick people and making them better. And I just thought, wow, I would love to be that person. Now, mind you, when I started out in life, I had a very rough beginning and I had no advantages. Really, honestly, it was very difficult to grow up and process what I was going through, but I always went through it in a delusional state, thinking, you know, the illusions I created were that life, there was always hope, life's always going to get better. It sucked today, but it's going to get better tomorrow. Like I've just had that rah-rah cheerleader impression of life my whole life. I feel like throughout these videos, what I'm becoming conscious of is the fact that I had built such a firm illusion around good conquers evil. You live happily ever after. Love conquers all. There's always going to be a sunny day right after a cloudy day. Like there's always a silver lining to every cloud. So like my brain really embraced those thoughts, and I am the queen of positive thinking. But there's a delusional side of that when you don't cope with the reality of your situation, and when the reality of your situation impacts you. You can't comprehend or even move forward from the reality that you are experiencing, because it's a direct I'm trying to think of words here. It's a direct contradiction, thank you, to the reality that you identify as your reality. So like I talked about it once in a video, but I don't think I emphasized it. The day that I realized that, or the days that I realized that evil people prevail, because they don't have a soul, you know, they don't have a conscience. And so it is very easy for them to do whatever it takes to win. And the people with a conscience and the people with a soul, the people that care about other people, don't do whatever it takes. And so in life, they're being labeled as failures. They're not successful. You know, they're, you know, that poverty-ridden percent of the world that is just drags, you know, the economy down. And there's just all these horrifying labels for these people. But really what they are is just people that honestly have the morals and ethics to say no to things that people without a conscience wouldn't say no to. And so I remember the reality hitting me when I got into my 30s that, you know, life isn't about, you know, the superhero beats the villain, you know? It's not like that. It's bad guys win all the time, you know? Evil people prevail. Malefic energy is stronger than positive energy. Our fears easily overcome all of the positive things we could do in our lives, because we don't attach enough, we're not respectful of the level of power that fear can have. And I thought about this today as I'm sitting there, and I remember the day that I really realized that I'm not crazy. So like I've always had these weird sensations in my life. Animals have always been unusually drawn to me. People have always flocked to me. Just about every person who's ever encountered me has told me about the level of comfort and security that they feel just being energetically around me. And I've always went on these missions to just save the world, and they were always, it was always against evil, like, or what you would classify or label evil as in today's society. And I was always just out to save the innocents. And I did a lot of work with children in my life because of the disservice that my childhood, the people in my childhood did to me. Like, they didn't save me from a situation that they all knew was going on. Like, and I'm related to like half this area, really, but we don't talk anymore because I just could not let go of the fact that once I realized that they all understood the level of chaos and the pain and suffering that 2 children were going through at that time, nobody wanted to step up and do the dirty work. And so like I really, really wrestled with that. I have seen terrible people do terrible things and basically get off because they have literally brainwashed and manipulated people into believing what they were doing is right, and demonizing the people that were truly right in the situation and discrediting them in some way. And people are so easily led, because honestly, the amount of people that can't face reality, the amount of people that don't want to face their fear, and I think one of the biggest fears probably in life is that people are like, there are people out there that are just inherently evil and do not do anything good for this society, and they have power and prestige, and they have, you know, money, and they have looks, and they have, I mean, it's so deceptive to think that beauty is like when we label things, you know, I guess this is the energetic follow-up from the labeling, is it's so deceptive to see that a haggard old witch as evil and a beautiful princess as good, right? And yet that's portrayed in all of our fairy tales that we grew up with, if you watched any Disney. You know, it was never just even the ordinary geeky girls they tried to portray as, you know, just these people that aren't, you know, by society's means a beautiful person. They were always beautiful. I mean, they weren't heavy, you know, they weren't acne ridden, they weren't, they didn't have disabilities, you know, those aren't the stars in our roles in life. No, beautiful princesses are the stars that are roles in life. And I'm sickened by that, because it personifies beautiful people as good people, and because they have idealistic traits that we seek. And it's just, I just remember the day waking up to all of that, waking up to that reality. And that's a very difficult reality to face, because I was thinking about this too. So we got Jupiter in Scorpio, which is in retrograde, and Jupiter is a ruler of Pisces as well as Neptune and Pisces. And then we've got Chiron in this last degree, and we're moving into Aries work. And I've never had so many messages come in so strong and be so clear and be so hard to communicate about, because the topics are so serious, and they are so, and the energy is so low to process. So like identifying the malefic energy in your life is something, is probably one of the hardest things you're ever going to do, because like for me, I've got this amazing opportunity. My dreams are coming true right now. And I have every resource at my fingertips to tap into right now to make this dream a reality. And for some reason today, I woke up with a panic attack thinking about, oh my gosh, I am going to be like, how can I do this? And I'm trying to think. Okay, good, because I was like, that better not be. I'm trying to tilt my camera so that the rain doesn't actually go on to my actual camera itself. And I just could not identify what is my problem. Like, why am I upset? Like, where's Francis? Francis. Sorry, I've got to, oh, he's right here. There you are. Hi, Mimi. Hi, handsome. Okay, he's so quiet, and it's so not like him. He's so like whiny and numb. That's just not my dog normally. So I started having this panic attack, and I started like experiencing my body taking over, but not understanding why it's doing what it's doing. It's just taking over my reactions, and it's taking me on a ride, and I'm sick of that, right? And so I decided to sit down with myself and identify what I'm feeling. And that is a very difficult process, because then it makes you face your limitations, your restrictions, where you know, essentially hold yourself back, you know, your self-sabotaging tendencies. You got to be real with yourself, and you've got to know those demons exist in your mind somewhere, and the control and power that they have over your reality. So for instance, the only thing that I can come up with at this time is that growing up, my life existed around everybody else making the narcissist in my family or my household, or you know, my friends or my work environments, all happy. So I went excessive into these people-pleasing roles, and just you know, just completely unable to think of myself. Like, so right now I'm being asked to focus on myself, and I've never found anything more difficult in my life than to focus energetically solely on the purpose of making me a better person. It was always about helping others. It was always about this pursuit, this mission. I was always had some goal in mind of like, there was always somebody in my life suffering, and I always wanted to help relieve their suffering. And I don't know how to do it for myself. Like, I don't know how to address the issues with myself. I can generate resources out of thin air, and it's one of the things I am so crazy good at. But when I am being resourceful for myself, I tend to not feel worthy. I tend to label some of the resources that I'm using as failure, and that label that I'm associating it to generates then a fear of failure, or that I'm lacking in some way. Maybe, I mean, this stuff, when you're getting into your final degree of Pisces, in Chiron, you're looking at, and I had this all wrote down, so I really want to read from some of this, even though it's starting to get like crazy wet. So I kind of remember a time in my life where I resisted the fact that I had this energetic gift, like that somehow I get these messages, I don't know where they come from. I resisted them. And then I remember the day that I just decided to open Pandora's box. And I knew that I was doing it. Like, I remember I remember envisioning this box sitting on my lap, and I had a key, and as soon as I unlocked this box, I knew my life was never going to be the same again, and it never has been. But there was an urge and a need to open it up at that time in my life, because I felt like my psyche, my physical presence on this earth was ready to handle what was in that box. Was it easy? No, it was the scariest thing to live through, because once I opened Pandora's box, you know, I faced the fact that, and I even looked up the one definition of Pandora's box, and I can relate to it. I read a few, but this is the one I relate to most. And it says, a present which seems valuable, but in reality is a curse. And I feel like whenever you do energetic work, it is a curse, because there is a sense of isolation that can be found with, and you know, being a person that's a receiver and a transmitter, and transmitting a message to a world that is in a state of chaos and in a state of resistance, and is facing all of their own mental demons and all of their own mental resistance to something being out there bigger than themselves, something attaching some sort of validity, I guess is a word I could use, to what I'm saying. Like, it's hard for me because I'm a creature of science, and I love statistics and I love science, and those, they comfort me. They comfort me in the fact that I can count on those being real. With so much false media, with so people will lie right to your face. I mean, they have agendas and they hide them from you, and you know, and people have very seedy, self-serving personalities, and you don't know who to trust and who not to trust. I feel like that's some of that Jupiter and Scorpio work, you know, in retrograde, where we're being asked to face our fears, but facing your fears can make you feel, you know, very like the world is it's a dark place. It's a very unsafe place. It's a very, you know, there's so much darkness out there, and there's so many people that aren't in control of where fear is taking them. And fear is a seductive energy. I feel like it's one of the most seductive energies, like, to experience, because fear makes you believe that you're resisting whatever you're fearing, because it will save you from something, right? So fear has a very dark purpose in your life, and that is, fear is the energy that keeps you from progressing, keeps you from accepting opportunities, keeps you from experiencing the capacity to understand what you as an individual on this earth has the capability to do, and what is unique about you. It isolates you in a sense, because it makes you understand your individual qualities that nobody else seems to have. That can, and the fear that is associated with that is that you don't fit in, everybody was right about you, you're weird, you're odd, you know, it can make you want to conform, and it can make you want to stay in a comfort zone. It can do a lot of really malefic things in your life. And it's funny because conforming seems to be so endorsed in society. I can remember I was working for Adventist, and I changed my hair to a bright red color, like not just red like a normal red, but like the actual color red. And I put these streaks in my hair, and it was earth-shattering at my job. Like, everybody talked about the fact that I don't have a normal hair color, and it was just a very disruptive thing at my job. And this was all on the administrative level. This is all behind the scenes, right? And it spread through my work, and I just walk into my work thinking, I don't know if I like it, but I felt like I needed to do something different. And when you're searching for who you identify with and what you identify with, you kind of experiment a little. Super amazing energy to work with. in a very high vibration, if you're working in Jupiter Scorpio work, like just to really let some of your fears about standing out, really chase those fears and really make yourself stand out, make yourself pop. Of course, that's all this Aries work as well as we're doing, and especially Uranus and Aries. And so I think it was very hard for me because I had every single, like, I swear to you, every second patient coming in saying they loved my hair and where do I get it done, and it's just beautiful, and I never got so many compliments in my life, and not when I had a normal hair color, right? Not when I had a normal hairstyle. And I cut off all my hair, and I had this really, you know, kind of like modern hairstyle, and I've always wanted to do it, but the men in my life always really liked long hair, and they really liked my hair on a normal red color, and I couldn't make it too red because the men in my life didn't like that. And being the people pleaser I was always like focused on what the men in my life liked about me, and then I really liked to accentuate those qualities. However, when I started to work through this energy and I released myself from fulfilling expectations of others, what I ended up doing is trying something new. Can't say if I accept it yet or not, but I'm trying to embrace like everything I'm being led to do and pull myself away from the stereotypes that's usually associated, or the labels that's usually associated with people who have bright red punk hair, right? So to me, it's a very sophisticated look. I don't identify it with the same reservations that other people do. And so like now I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna, you know, have this really big interview of my life, and I'm like, well, do I conform and dye my hair back to a normal color that I know would be accepted in as a collective, or do I keep myself unique and you know, and just if they like me, they like me, if they don't, they don't, you know, kind of attitude. And I'm standing on, you know, the threshold of one of the biggest career moves that I felt that I've made in years. You know, I've always played it safe. I've always been in a state of trauma when I've accepted things because it was always recovering from some situation in my life. And so this is the first time that I really just identified what I want and I went for it. So I've thought a lot about this too. Energetic frequencies. I want to know if you feel like you are working at a different energetic frequency than other people. I don't want to label those people as not awake or aware, and you are aware and awake. I hate those labels because basically that makes them sound like you are just in the hierarchy system of spirituality, you're better than them, right? Because they're more aware of their karmic, or you're more aware of your karmic journey in life, and they're still a hamster on a wheel. And wow, I just saw like a giant fish, and I'm talking the other side of the lake, jump out of the water, and I'm like, what the frick can make that big of a splash? But okay. I feel like that it's very difficult to focus on yourself and to see the situation for what it is, and to understand or how to identify what energy is doing in your life. And it can feel energetically like this morning that I was just going to jump out of my skin, because what if I get up there and I fail and I don't get this job, you know, and I'm moving far away to do this, and what if I get up there and I start the onboarding process, or what if, right? And because my life, you know, cumulatively has a pattern of disappointment, failure, sorrow, pain, I am associating that my future is going to be the same way. So that's when I was telling you guys about the fact that I feel like we're kind of in this time in our lives where reality seems to be, there's like two parts to you. There's like who you used to be versus who you are right now, and letting go of who you used to be is proving to be more difficult, even though you know that that person who you used to be is no longer who you are right now. And even though you've overcome some great obstacles to get to this level in your life, and that you deserve to not be identified as your old sense of self, it can be very hard to let go of deep ingrained patterns that your fears have embedded in you, because those are your survival instincts. You know, all this Aries work it's all about your survival instincts. What, baby? What? Little man, see, that's what a squeaker I'm used to. Hey, no. So my survival instincts are, I'm a runner, right? So like every time it gets super hard and I can't handle things, and I really, that's, commitment is really hard for me. Long-term commitment to anything is like crazy hard for me, because even though I'm very good at commitment, I will not leave your side once I've commit, or I will not leave my job once I commit, or I will not let go of a goal once I commit to it. I mean, I won't. It's just, nobody fights harder than me. When it gets really painful and it just energetically taps into my fears and it starts to challenge my self-confidence, I have a tendency to let go of it and go the opposite direction, because it just energetically doesn't feel good for the challenge for me. Like I'm not into it. And so, and there's some good qualities about being able to just drop everything and move forward. But it's also in my life created a pattern of a false sense of security and safety, because it's now a coping method, and a super unhealthy one. So like right now, it's very easy for me to be like, I am so scared that I'm going to get up there and I'm going to move my whole life up there. And it's a big city, you know, where I'm going to. It's like a huge city, actually. And I've never lived that close to a big city. And I just was like, I don't know if, like, I'm a country girl, kind of a remote girl. And that really takes me in a different direction. To be so close to, now mind you, that city has much more opportunity than this city has in years. I mean, you try to find a job where I live, and because it's in the top percentile of states that have one of the highest unemployment rates, you know, it's really hard to get a fair shake here. And so like getting that close to a big city is just so much more opportunistic, and it produced the opportunity of a lifetime, and I really want it. So this is getting long, and I have to stop because I make these too long, and there's just so much to say. That stupid last, you know, degree in Pisces, and what's just coming forth is just a lot to talk about, maybe a lot to face, a lot to decipher. Sometimes I feel like the reason why Virgo energy is opposite of Pisces energy is because as soon as a Pisces world and reality gets shattered, Virgo energy is of course going to oppose creating illusion, right? And so what it's going to do is start to compartmentalize and make sense out of everything, and to keep your brain a little safe, right? To help you have a sense of control, or to feel like you're in control, and to be very critical in those areas so that you don't experience that pain and suffering anymore. So of course it's the opposing energy of Pisces. So like, if some of you guys are experiencing just a very high level of fear, I don't know if it's just me or if it's you, really identify what you're fearing. For me, honest to God, I can seriously say that I'm scared that I will either fail or succeed. That I will get up there and everything will go great and my life will dramatically change, and it will set off a chain of events that I've never had before in my life, and that it can create a bigger world than I am comfortable with exploring, maybe. I mean, it's so hard to like identify it, but I'm making these videos because I'm being guided to. And I want to thank everybody for all of your comments. I don't comment back, and it looks like I'm super disconnected from you, and in a sense I am, because what it takes to like be strong enough to go into the world completely alone and change your entire life and direction, and then to develop really a whole sense of yourself that really you've been postponing for 47 years, because I've been on a karmic journey, and now that that karmic journey is over, you know, now I get to focus on myself. And so like that work is very intense, and energetically I can pick up on you guys as well, and I can want to like fall into an old pattern of focusing on you and your guys' journey instead of me and my journey. And it's an Achilles heel of mine, and it makes me avoid my own situations in life and get caught up in the wrong things. And so like I'm really trying to like stop doing that and give a portion of my time to helping others, but spend the majority of my time helping myself re-identify myself and start out on my new journey. So I do love you guys, and thank you so much for everybody that tunes in, and I'm glad my audience is tiny, because this is a super crazy revealing time for me. And if I had a big audience, I would be so exposed, and I'm not a person who's like that. And so like I'm glad that you guys are just, you know, I'm seeing some of the old faces that I used to see, and there's a sense of comfort in the fact that, you know, I basically am not a partner with YouTube, so I know that I'm not being recommended, and I'm not monetizing any of my videos because I'm not a partner. And so like it's just a tiny little community, and I hope that it helps people. I feel like I'm not the only person who could possibly be this enlightened to be feeling these energies, and I want you to know that you're not alone. Okay guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.